Hi everyone and welcome to Priority Holder, and today we're doing another Dominaria United sealed. Let's see what we open. Moment of truth. Okay, so it seems pretty decent. We got Karplusan Forest, Keldon Flame Sage has a little bit enlist things going on. I can free cast spells. Interested in that. Leaf Crown Visionary, cool card but not supported. Joyra, cool but also not supported very well. Defiler of Instinct, that's pretty nice. We'll be looking for that one. Runfelt Horde Master, fun but not really supported. So tiny bit. I mean, it's just probably about like your average open for rare power. Just there's a lot of cards that are just sort of constructed plants in the set. So scanning through, white has some things. It has Citizen's Arrest. That's like the most notable white card. We have Griffin Protector, a couple captains called, and so white just seems like while the cards are not horrible, there's just really not enough of them. Checking out blue is even worse off. We got the Figment, and we have a Drake. There's just not a lot going on with the Drake. Tolarian Geyser is good, like that's one thing you'd love to play. And we have the 3/2 flyer. Checking out black is very shallow as well. We have Phyrexian Warhorse, Tattered Apparition. So honestly, those first three colors just seemed just basically too shallow to build. Red, basically, I'm trying to see, do we have enough goblins to support the Horde Master? And it doesn't seem like it. But red has like a couple removal spells and has some like actual creatures to choose from. So it seems pretty certain we'll play red. Looking at green, we got a couple Strength of the Coalition. Strong, but unlocks its full power with the white splash. Bytown's good. Colossal Growth's good. Checking out the Visionary again. A couple Root Walls. And yeah, I got some other green enlist creatures. And a good selection of lands. So that'll help us if we decide to get creative splashing things. We have a Tatiova in there as well. Right away, I'm pretty drawn to the red and green. And I know there are some like potential domain payoffs like that Morrow right there. So that's informing my choice of the land. I'm getting all the red and green lands that we have and looking at possible gold cards to splash. And see the Linebreaker Bailoffs, add those. Basically what I'm going through is adding the cards that I most want to play. So Defiler of Instinct. Pass on Coalition Warbrute for now, but eventually come back to those. Linebreaker Bailoff looks tempting. Root Wallers are just solid. Because we're red-green, we're going to get the full power of the Colossal Growths. So they'll be completely unlocked in our deck. And yeah, just trying to be very selective in what we're adding. Like not just add things willy-nilly, add the strongest cards. Now here I'm checking out my white sources because Strength of the Coalition is fine, but it's much better if you can pay that white splash. Yeah, I'm just labeling it right now. And yes, we even have even more tap lands if we want to go way heavier into domain, but it doesn't seem like there's like a super strong reason to do that. Considering the Cyclops. Molten Monstrosity seems like it could be here. It could be good here with all of our high power creatures. Get a nice little discount. But it seems like we have like sort of like a red-green mid-range build sort of coming together, maybe with a couple splashes. We do have Salvaged Mana Worker that makes a lot of these ambitious decks possible. scanning over the other colors again, make sure I'm just not missing something obvious. But they just seem too shallow. And like we would love to splash something along the power level of Citizen's Arrest, but it's just double white is just too tough. So we're just going to completely ignore that. And black or blue doesn't even have anything we'd even want to splash. So now it's about choosing the least not bad cards. Wait, no, least bad. Too many negatives in that last one. Now still trying to figure it out. Garna, I like Garna a lot, so like that's a consideration. We will have to like figure out the black sources potentially. Throwing Mana Worker in there. So like there are some directions to take this. Like we could go red green and sort of not splash anything. Just play a couple of tap lands for some incidental domain. Or we could play red green and really lean into like our gold cards. There's not really any monocolored cards that we have in our pool that we want to splash. So it'd be stuff like Tatiova and Garna, things like that. Now unfortunately the way the mana lines up, I don't have a lot of like great sources to help splash Tatiova. Like there's a little bit going on. We could play anyway. We could make it work. I think I end up not including it, but looking back on it now, maybe should have just played Tatiova, considering how strong it is, and just sort of hope the mana would work with the Mana Worker and a couple tap lands. So not sure. I tend to try and move towards the more straightforward, streamlined strategies, though you can get very ambitious in this format. Now I'm checking, you see me clicking on the bar chart every once in a while, checking the spell versus creature count, trying to shoot for around 15 creatures. It can go up or down depending on like what's happening. So trying to get like a mix of creatures and interaction. Okay, so this is a leap forward in time. I actually cut the line breakers and notably put two and replaced both of them with 2 Coalition Warbrute. That does 2 things. It lowers our curve, it helps our color requirements, and they can be reduced off our Defiler. So that we'll see if that ends up being relevant, but that was the justification for cutting the line breakers. And you could see one of the Warbrutes in our hand right now. So the question is, do we play a tap land? Or we don't have to play a tap land. I'm so not used to the rare ones that basically every time I see a 2-color land, I think it comes to play tapped, but we happen to have one of the rare ones. Alright, so opponent plays the turtle. Honestly, the ward on that is a little annoying. I was really hoping they'd block. They didn't, so we're just gonna play a Mana Worker, play land and pass. So our colors are developing nicely. And wow, Soul of Windgrace. So at least they didn't get a land from their graveyard, but that is going to be tough to deal with. So definitely going to attack here to see if we can bait them into something with the combat trick. Oh, never mind. Didn't even bother. I think that might have been a mistake on my part, though maybe I was holding the goblin back to block the tortoise or the turtle. Neshoba Brawler, so opponent has some really good stuff over there. Soul of Windgrace is already going off, and Neshoba Brawler is just really strong. We do have a couple combat tricks, so decide to go ahead and send in with the Warbrute. Enlisting here to at least make it not super obvious we have a trick, like if we attack with 3 power into their soul, like they know something's up. But it's the other reason to do the pump right there is because it enables bite down on the Soul of Windgrace, since now it has enough power to take it down. So we're feeling a little better. The opponent has really high creature quality, and like a lot going on board, so we're definitely not out of the woods by any means. Okay, Lagomos. That could be annoying. That's a free 2/1 haste trample each turn, temporary one. And they have evolved Sleeper, so opponent's card quality is off the charts right here. Like Nishoba Brawler, Soul of Windgrace, Lagomos, evolved Sleeper. They just have really good stuff. So we're getting smacked right here. They're going for the block pump spell combo. And that did open us up to like getting really hammered by removal or pump spell. They only had one card left, so that actually worked out fairly nice for us. So end up attacking again, and we have some like really bombastic combat tricks. So we're gonna see like what kind of blocks they try and line up. Okay, so opponent just plays it very safe. That's okay for us because our backup plan is a territorial Maro, so I feel pretty good about that. And because the opponent is touching so many colors, they don't have like a ton of black sources for the Evolved Sleeper. So like ends up taking most of their mana to raise it a couple levels right now. So they send in with the 2/1, we're just going to block that with the Mana Worker. Keep our life total high. So notably their Sleeper has Death Touch now, so opt not to attack him with the Maro because we can use it to enlist the War Brute, and so it's effectively donating its power right now. And the War Brute has Trample, so this could be just an absolutely massive attack. So I did this to test them. So they're going for like the Death Touch block, but we can actually just straight up kill them right here with our many pump spells, thanks to like the massive enlist. They didn't block with enough toughness, so they are just dead right here. There we go. On to the next one. So this is a tough one. It's a no green hand, so we'll be leaning on Salvaged Mana Worker, which that's why this card is so strong, because it makes clunky hands like this work. Raven Man, okay. Could be problematic. We do have its natural enemy, which is a 1/3. So at least we won't be getting attacked by it anytime soon. Banal Sleeper. And they go ahead and decide to fire up the Edict mode on it. So I actually really like that play from the opponent, because you can see our mana situation is tough. We happen to be bailed out immediately by our Karpusan Forest, but that was a really good play by them, eating up the Mana Worker because of how much that can carry sort of shoddy mana bases. So I like that aggressive line from them. Now this is really aggro from them. Citizen's Rest on the Root Wallet, like it's not a really high priority creature. We don't really care about it. Play Defiler of Instinct. Pass to them. And they go ahead and activate Raven Man. So we have to pitch a card. Just pitch a pump spell. And yeah, time to start using the Phyrexian mode from Defiler of Instinct. So we're able to play an Outrider despite not having enough mana thanks to the Phyrexian mode. And the bird token can't block, so we're able to hammer in for 4 first strike after that. So we're feeling pretty good right here. Necromass is a bit annoying. Now I make a small mistake here. I think I should not have, well, I know I should not have sent in with the Outrider. I was just trying to push the damage, seeing like all our combat tricks. So this would have been perfect had they blocked this way, because we could have just used the combat trick, gotten the free kill. However, because I attacked with the Outrider, I'm basically priced in to using a combat trick here to just trade with the Necromass. And I think that's not a good spot to be in right here. So, not to mention the little life loss that adds on to us. So that was a pretty poor attack by me. But we at least still have life to use the Phyrexian mana and get the War Brute out. So opponent missed an attack with the bird on last turn, but Phyrexian Warhorse. Can we draw another War Brute? Now, despite the Phyrexian mana, so basically we could cast both spells, but we can't kick the growth spell and cast the War Brute. We send in with both. They double block in this manner. Now I was very concerned about getting the War Brute out, so I don't pay the kicker here because I want a double spell. But this is one of many tiny decisions, even going back to the Outrider attack last turn, that I think end up costing me. Spoiler alert. So opt for no kicker here. So we are missing out on some damage. Like paying the kicker would have been let's see, would have been 3 additional damage right here. Maybe it was worth taking a turn off playing creatures for the 3 free damage effectively. But I was feeling pretty good, you know, 2 creatures in play, 1 in reserve. Held 1 back because I was afraid about playing to Wrath, so should have just paid the kicker anyway. So that's actually just, what was I even doing? Just a horrendous mistake last turn. So we draw another growth. But yeah, I should have paid it anyway because I ended up not even casting the War Brute. What was I thinking? Anyway, a bunch of some small, like seemingly small decisions start adding up. This is the power of these knights right here. They have this on-demand pump ability. Take up the shield. That's tough because it's going to get indestructible plus lifelink and be able to trade with our Defiler as... So we have the same decision as last turn. We can double spell if we don't kick our pump spell. But we're missing out on a damage by not kicking it. So this game would be much different if I had not made mistakes the last couple of turns. So once again, going for the unkicked version. So we don't get the trample damage. Opponent gains a chunk of life. And you know, all of the Phyrexian mana we've been using is taking a toll on us. Opponent has essentially not attacked us, and we're about to fall to 6 health. And you want to use life when when you can. But now essentially we're out of combat tricks and didn't feel like we leveraged them really well. So here's another sleeper. We're going to take out one of our creatures. So we just sacrifice a War Brute. An opponent still has their annoying knight with like just the pump ability. So land is tough. Any sort of action here might have helped us close it. But it honestly feels like it's slipping away from us. So opponent just gets a free clean kill right here. We have them fall to 1. And basically I'm like, at this point, trying to make the best of things. Chump attacked right there, but if this creature survives and we draw any red permanent, then they die. As things stand right now. Opponent plays Scout the Winter. So they're flooding the ground, flooding the board. And the thing is, we paid so much life that we ourselves are on the cusp of dying. So they do have the Bone Splinters, which is real tough. And that's how easy it slips away. Those mistakes added up. So props to the opponent there. They definitely outplayed us. But I think it's important to look on games like that because it was no one huge thing. It was a bunch of subtle things that lost us that game. I think it was very winnable. I think both times, I mean, it's hard to know because like butterfly effect, but I think both times we should have kicked that spell to push through the extra damage. Especially that one turn I didn't even cast the creature. I don't know what I was thinking. But we're on to the next one. Battling another red-green deck. Now, opponent seems to be valuing their root wall. They didn't send it in. It is like a better creature than our ape in the long run. But we play our tortoise, pass. Sprouting Goblin is really nice here. Fetching up a land, possibly another color for them. Okay, so they go ahead and get a tap land, and it is unlocking another color for them. And they appear to be just like us, red-green splashing some stuff. You know, we have so many tap lands. Decided to, since we had to play, to get them out of the way. Now the 4/6 is rough. However, this is the strength of the root wall. Like, we can attack in, and they just don't have a great block for it. If they block, it's just with their 4/6, we just kill it. So. Phyrexian Rager's solid. This is where our deck, it struggles a bit because it's all about attacking the ground. We have no flyers. So how do you navigate games like this? You know, where you're hoping to use combat tricks and stuff, and there's 5 creatures on each side of the battlefield. So opponent hits us with the pumped up root walla. Things are just stalling out here. Now here we get to use the enlist trick, where essentially the Warbrute is going to borrow the power from something. The question is, what do we use? I like the Outrider as a blocker. So I don't enlist with that. Using the tortoise at least gets us to 6 power. So here we can attempt to trade with the 4/6. They have a colossal growth. That's not good for us. So what do we play here? I decide the 4/6 is just too much toughness. It's too much a problem for us because we need to get through it. So opt to finish it off with the Fire NATO. Keep the Forest on top because we already have the what's it called? Bone Rattle something. Now I know they have the pump spell, but we have the Bone Rattle creature to bring back our Outrider. So we want our Outrider to die so we can return it from the graveyard. Now this is not ideal. We would much rather have traded with the Root Walla, but still, they're using up their spells, and we're going to get another crack at the Outrider. Now I was very excited. Okay, so we're not doing the reanimation just yet. Getting in our attack with the Root Walla. Now that we have two Root Wallas, it's going to make opponent's life very difficult. You can see they didn't attack there because now, you know, we attack with both of them. We can choose which one to pump, and it can cause them big problems upon blocking. We play Bone Rattle, and anyway, I was so used to putting creatures in play. I was actually sort of surprised when it went into our hand because we were missing the 5th basic land type, but that's okay because we at least got the Outrider back, and it's going to really hammer their life total. I mean, that's already 4 points of burn just with the Outrider. But our Bone Rattle doesn't survive. It gets taken out right away. Opponent plays Phyrexian Rager. Strength of the Coalition. That is really nice. Opponent still has pretty great blocks, though. So we could just play the Outrider and wait. So now we have them at a little bit lower life total. Had another big creature, but the opponent has another Terra Sunder. So opponent has really good cards over there. Lightning Strike, 2 Terra Sunders, multiple Phyrexian Ragers. They got some good stuff. Scout the Wilderness. So we're so close. We don't need that much more damage, but they have so many creatures. Thankfully, it is a bit of a shields down moment with the root wall activation. Okay, so they go ahead and enlist the barbarian, and there's different ways it could have played this. End up pumping the turtle, because I know that the ward is going to save it. They do get to take down one of our root walls, though, which isn't ideal. Now they have multiple chump blockers. There is an argument here for double blocking with them to force us to waste our mana. So we just keep trading resources. We're really trying to just clear through their blockers. Sprouting Goblin is very valuable here. Sacking, and the sort of mana flood part of the game, they're going to get extra draws. Opponent finds a 4/4 reach. That's nice. So here's a pretty great attack for us because we get to enlist. We're going to use the tortoise or the turtle. Unfortunately, it would have been really nice to hit a combat trick here, just to make this attack a little bit more brutal on them. But you could see we're eating into their resources. They can't afford to let Root Wall go through unblocked. They have to keep throwing creatures underneath it. And they're at such a low life total, they can't afford to send the Root Wall towards us. So there's an argument to be made that they should have been doing that to keep us under pressure. Anyway, so now they're going for it. And we just take the hit. Outrider is going to hammer us. So we're not out of the woods. No combat trick there is tough. You can see my timer running down, trying to figure out how to navigate this. But between Menace and the extra attacker, realize that it's going to be pretty rough on the opponent. A 5/5 trample on top doesn't hurt as well. You can see me relining the blockers. Now this is a pretty ambitious attack here because they're still going to have a lot of power potentially coming at us. We only have one blocker. It's like a real shields down moment for us. Basically, if they have any way to remove it, then we're done. They play their own War Chief, and they pass. So they're at 1, and we have 4 creatures to their 3, and we got there. That was a close one. That one took a lot of whittling down of defenses. So mulligan, and we keep, and it's a really clunky hand. It has our splashes all inside there without the requisite mana for both of them. Try and end up sending the Bone Rattle back. It's very strong. We don't have a black source, and it's 6 mana, so Garnet is a little bit more in the realm of possibility at this point. Knight of Dusk's Shadow. Very strong card. Don't like seeing that on turn 2 when you have a clunky, slow hand. Oh boy, and then Braids. That is tough. So they opt not to sacrifice the land. I don't think it would have been correct in this instance. But yeah, the Knight has Menace, has on-demand pump. Best we can do is play a 2/3. Honestly, the 3/2 Tortoise would have saved the day for us right now. Would at least held off Braids. But we can't even block Braids with our 2/3. So opponent is going all out here. They're pressing their advantage. And we don't even have good defensive options. We could play We have like offensive cards right here, like a 3/3 menace and like the 2/3 that wants to attack. So it's looking sort of grim for us at the moment. Opponent keeps us on the back foot. Citizen's Arrest takes our 3/3. Same situation as last turn. We don't have any good blocks. We just take it, but opponent can just sink the extra mana, and we already fall to 5. This one looks pretty dunzo. And this is a great play by them, sacrificing a land, because if we don't, we're going to start losing even more life, and it's a great way to press the advantage for them. We're able to finally play a couple creatures out, but I think, well, the damage has already been done. They've been able to keep us on the back foot sufficiently. Now, how would you block right here? It's a 2/2 right now. Could potentially be a 4/4. Decide to send everyone into block because like a single removal spell plus a pump could have torn us apart. So at least we have like a ghost of a chance this way. No black sources though, so Garnet is stranded in hand. We needed to cast it right there or draw something else because now Braids is in the clear. So Braids comes on in. We're forced to chump block because if they sacrifice like a land or an enchantment, we'd automatically die. Though this game's already been lost. So we can't sacrifice our creatures. And yeah, this game's over. Playing things out for the sake of quests, but yeah, it's over. Opponent has shown they know what they're doing, and they're going to finish us off. And yeah, Outrider seals the deal. That was a tough one where like the clunkiness of our deck was just really preyed upon by our opponent. Now we don't have a red source, that's concerning. And we don't have a mana worker, and we have 2 tap lands, so not the best hand. Tide Turner from the opponent. Thankfully draw a red source, so that allows us to play the Flame Sage. Opponent uses Fires of Victory, takes down our Flame Sage, and they play, what's his name that cares about modified stuff. So they don't have any modified things yet, but that could be a problem if they start making an army of 1/1s. Opt not to block here. It just seems like all downside for us, like Combat Trick would just destroy us. Attack here to try and get the free damage in, because we can pump and kill their Tide Turner. Now we actually don't have enough green sources to cast the Chief right now, so we have to play the War Brute. Opponent passes to us. It seems like, okay, so they have instant speed interaction, so they use Stall for time. Honestly, it seems like more of a tempo card. I don't think it's like that's like the best usage of it, though. You have to do what you need to, like when things are desperate. Tolarian Terror. That's a strong one. That outclasses everything we have so far. However, we have a pump spell, so we're able to just send in. Now we had some options. I decided just to kick it there because putting a 1/1 counter on everything is going to be like very useful. It's going to help all of our future enlisting to look better, and it gets the opponent a little bit lower on life. So that seemed like a good turn to do that, and it just, our plays weren't lying. We're choked on green mana, so we just got to keep the green spells flowing any chance we get. So here we can enlist, keeping the 4/5 back on defense, but this presents us with a 7 power attacker. And this is where the War Brutes shine. Like they just borrow power from other creatures and trample on through. So interestingly, they chump with Talus Lookout here. So they get a card. They still have their Serpent. Controversial play from them. I mean, they may have been concerned about a combat trick completely blowing them out, which it would have. But chumping there probably just can't feel good. I'm trying to figure out what to play. So we could play a Root Walla. Anyway, I was a little concerned with the Wrath right there, so decided to not play Morrow. It was just one of those things, like, I don't know how you can sort of sniff it out sometimes. Tolarian Geyser. Okay, so that's not a Wrath, it's just a bounce spell. Waiting. We've had the opponent on the back foot for a while. Okay, they play the Heirloom. That's tough because now Baird is going to give them soldier tokens. However, we still have some very strong attacks, so we go opt to enlist again. This time keeping the 3-power Root Walla back just to hold Baird off from attacking us. Alright, so this is going to take the whole turn because of the ward. Oh, never mind. I thought I was going to shoot Tolarian Terror, but end up shooting Baird because we don't want a stream of 1/1s from the opponent. But that's pretty nice. It gets us, like, you know, takes out the Terror, gives us a little bit of damage. We're still choked on green mana, so we can't cast the Goblin Chief we have. Alright, so opponent's flooding the board a little bit. Okay, there's another green source. It is tapped, though. But we have some pretty strong attacks. End up just sending in with 1 Root Walla. We don't have enough mana to, like, threaten to activate each of them. We'll very, very happily take this sort of free kill right here. They throw the Cyclops under the bus. We just activate for the kill. So very, very happy with that trade right there. Opponent maybe should have thrown the 1/1 in there as well, try and take down our Root Walla. Oh, no, I guess they would have needed 2 more power, so. But then we see what they were building towards. They were trying to keep enough back for a huge Strike Team Alpha Strike. So, this is going to be a huge chunk of damage. But opponent is so low, I'm hoping to actually kill them next turn. Now, unfortunately, the math was not quite working out. Like, they're forced to chump here. But we're also dangerously close to dying, thanks to their Keldon Strike Team. Fortunately, we're able to double spell right here and play some defense. We're able to get enough green sources and enough red sources to play both of these. And both those are great. They're decent defensively against what the opponent has right now. And they're offensively difficult to deal with. Now, I mentioned earlier about the Wrath, so there's the Temporal Firestorm. And thankfully, we just weren't able really to deploy naturally, so we sort of had things in reserve naturally, but now we have a 10-10 versus their 2-3 post-Wrath, so very happy about how that worked. Honestly, we might have walked into it way worse had we had more green mana. So they're sending in here, they're probably praying to hit like some removal spell or something in the top 4 cards. They missed, and we just eat it up with our Morrow. And so it's basically game over right here for the opponent. They're forced to chump our 10-10, and they need an answer this next turn. The opponent just finds another equipment, so they're dead. Okay. Swamp from the opponent. We have a handful of tap lands. Play the goblin. The question of tap lands or early creatures. End up playing the Root Walla. Just to... We don't sure how aggro our opponent will be. Now, interestingly, they don't attack here, so they must be hoping to trade upon blocks, or they don't end up not blocking with it either, so it's a strange no attack from them. We play our mana worker in a tap land. That's going to help our mana. Our mana's looking decent already. Garna. That could be why they were holding the goblin, or holding that creature in reserve, because if it dies in combat, you know, they get the bonus off Garna. Now this is tough. The tap land here is just brutal. We would love to play a 3/4. So decide to, anyway, it's a bad idea to go aggro here against what they have, with the tools we have in play. So hoping to maybe snipe off Garna with the strength of the coalition. Opponent does not block. Just take the damage. Checking up on Garna's ability. Outrider's tough. Now our life total is really fallen. And we're like way behind on board. Missing a 3/4 last turn was brutal. So now we can play a 3/4, but we're just sort of falling behind. Like, it's just tough. And Garna lets the opponent just keep committing things aggressively and then recoup, either converting dying creatures to damage or cards. Not to mention, but if we try and block, we might be playing right into like a removal spell. That's actually a pretty sketchy triple block for me. Not sure why I did it that way, because we still would have gotten insanely blown out from one removal spell. Opponent plays a Tome, so that means they're getting the late game unlock as well. Mana Worker lets us cast Defiler. This is nice because we have a lot of red permanents, and we're mana screwed right now, so the Phyrexian mana could be helpful. And the damage trigger could help take down their creatures. Oh, sorry, not a Tome, Codex. So they fire up the Codex, draw a card. We're happy to see them pass there, like them not adding to the board. We needed a little reprieve from them, so that's nice. So we use Outrider. Take down the Goblin. Causes a little cascade of triggers, so. Now we have full domain, so opponents we get domed for 5 here. And we managed to draw another land, which is excellent. Now, we could have still attacked him with our first striker, though I was really wary of them passing and not playing anything, like expecting like a combat trick or something. So there was an argument for maybe attacking with Defiler last turn. Now we're talking though, so our mana's coming together, we have a lot of creatures in play, and strength of the coalition. So attack with these two. Honestly, maybe we could have attacked with all of them. But try not to get ourselves dead also, because there's a lot of ways the opponent could like reversal us. But this just keeps chipping at their resources. So Garna's still dinging us, but the opponent's falling behind pretty drastically at this point. So we get another Defiler trigger, player Molten Monstrosity. So opponent basically has to deal with us right now, or they're in big trouble. They fire off the Codex. And it really seems like, with how many cards in hand, why are they not casting anything? They have 3 colors of mana. They've been drawing tons of cards. Why are they not casting anything? And this attack should sort of inform that. It's because they have a Wrath. Now, once again, I don't know if it was me subconsciously holding back, or if it was more the mana holding us back for ourselves, but they're going to deal 5 to everything. And so our combat trick's actually going to be able to save one of our creatures. And they're hoping we block exactly the way we did so that like everything died. But with our combat trick, we're able to preserve our Defiler. So now the opponent was counting on wiping everything out. But Defiler's still around. And because we have full domain, Bone Rattle is going to finish him off right now with Outrider. And that's game over. So that's 2 games in a row we've been able to beat Temporal Firestorm. So if nothing else, we can add that to our resume. Drawbridge. Okay, so either they're just playing it or this is a Defender's deck. Now, interestingly, it doesn't come up all the time, but Stonecrusher can sacrifice itself to destroy artifacts. So opponent has an artifact, so it may come in handy. So there's Academy Wall. So it is seeming like the opponent was able to stitch together a Defender's deck from their sealed pool. Decide to attack here. We're not adding to the board, but we're eating up their Defenders. So thankfully this is a really jumbo combat trick that can get past the Academy Wall. But we're trying to keep their Defender count low because of Wingmantle Chaplain. We have another combat trick. The problem is we're choked on green mana again, so maybe could have attacked, but they probably would have just blocked with the 0-3, and anyway, hard to say. But it might have been worth a shot. Shield Wall Sentinel, so let's see if our nightmares are confirmed. Is it going to happen? There it is, Wingmantle Chaplain. And it's not only that, but the Griffin Protector is going to be hammering us also. The thing is, Wingmantle Chaplain's independently good, but it makes Griffin Protector really strong. So, anticipating Wingmantle, we go ahead and cash in our Steel Crusher. It's doing nothing against their ground forces, and that reduces their Defender count by 1. So, seems really worth it to cash it in there. Attack in. So opponent doesn't call our bluff. They don't want to lose any more defenders than they have to. We could play our Morrow, but it's pretty underpowered now compared to what it could be. Here's Wingmantle. Now not only does opponent get 2 birds, they're going to smack us for 5 damage here with Griffin Protector. So we're dying pretty rapidly to flyers, and we have basically no answer to them. So we're just trying to race the flying forces right now. So there's some sequencing cool things we can do here. Trying to figure out how to make it work. Basically, I should have kicked it here. I wanted to kick it and then I misclicked. Because we could have kicked it, and because it would have boosted the power of Morrow by 1, it would have reduced the cost of Monstrosity by 1, and we could have cast it for a single red. So that was a mistake right there. Should have had a 1/1 counter on each of our other 2 creatures. But it's the beginning of the end for us anyway, because they have like that Frost Giant to lock down our creature. And we're dying very rapidly in the skies right now. Yep, so opponent decides to commit everything. They sense blood in the water. Like we're faltering right now. Like we have Morrow, which can deal a lot of damage. But it's just we're sort of coming up a little short. So attack with both. And what's tough here is that opponent can just safely no block if they wanted. So we go ahead and fire up Root Walla, and we just have not been able to keep adding to the board. So opponent falls to 11. Opponent plays Snaring Drake. So now they have 5 power attackers. Play Pixie Illusionist, 6 power attackers, and they have another creature, and that's it. I mean, Winged Mantle Chaplain's good, but have you seen Griffin Protector? Wow. So, went 4-3 with this. Honestly, not upset with that. It seemed like a very medium to low powered pool. Like we had like 2 rares that were just fine, and we're having to like play a bunch of tap lands to enable domain, but like wasn't huge payoff. So very happy with that. But yeah, that's another Dominaria United sealed. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.